Howdy there, partners. Y'all remember the run I did last year of West of Loathing? The one I did without spending experience and while wearing the hard hat and doing the major side quests and not using the energized effect, and those were some good times. So, how about I do it all over again, but for the DLC instead of the main game? The rules are the same as before, but this time our main objective is to take down the 16 major antagonistic figures in the DLC. The house difficulty will be set to the maximum you'd be able to get normally, in our case, difficulty 8, meaning that all of these fights will be particularly tricky. With this intro stuff out of the way, I am Generic Mystic, and welcome back to another challenge run in West of Loathing. Before gaining control of our lovely lass, we need to pick a class. There are 3 available for us to pick from, each with their own benefits and perks. In our base game run, and I must give a spoiler warning for this, I'm going to be referencing things that happened in the base game run a lot, so you have been warned. We completed the challenge using the Snake Oiler class. However, I want to give Beanslinger another chance. There's a few reasons I'll go with the class this time, but I'll just cover them as they come up. For now, grab the DLC items from the cupboard, de-equip the spider ring, please don't forget to do that, it'll make your life so much easier. Get the objectively best skill of lockpicking from your mother, offhand item from your dad, and go into the tutorial of Boring Springs. The only reason we're doing this is to ensure that we don't trip off a flag of searching a spittoon by skipping it, so just go through, retrieve all the horses, get Goblin Tongue, be ruthless, grab the hard hat, and prepare to leave. We now have to pick a partner between Susie, Crazy Pete, and Doc Alice. Each has their own benefits and shortcomings, so let's immediately dive into some of the nitty-gritty stuff we need to think about. Beginning with Pete, his lantern attack is okay. His buffing move is amazing, and his third attack is practically useless due to the number of ghosts immune to spooky attacks. He is also mildly immune to hot and cold damage, but outside of 2 fights it doesn't have any impact. So really all we have is the amazing buffing move, which isn't that great due to the starting position of Pete in battle. He begins every fight in the frontmost column, which is a huge problem. Of the 16 fights, 5 of the ghosts attack the frontmost target, 2 are random, 2 hit everyone, and a handful of the fights wouldn't change by Pete even being there. This means that a lot of his potential utility is, moot, really. For that reason, I'll stay away from using him. What about Susie? She showed a lot of use in the base game, so how does she fare in the DLC? Well, like Pete, her elemental resistance is only good in 2 fights, both of which probably will have me on the ground before she is even a target. As for her moves, the rifle shows promise for some, albeit lackluster damage. Her barricade will only work on 3 or 4 of the fights in the DLC, but at worst it can block 1 frontmost attack, which we know there are quite a few of. There are a lot of fights with numerous enemies though, so this utility goes way down. Finally is her lasso, which, like with the barricade, only really works in fights with a single target. A lot more useful due to directly preventing the attack of certain enemies, but with how weak we will be, its usefulness is questionable. I'll consider her though. Finally is Doc Alice. Her shotgun deals set damage to all foes, her bone saw is useless in the DLC, and her medkit is great for stalling if we somehow survive an attack. Additionally, she has great spooky resistance, which will help a lot in case she is hit by the majority of attacks in Gun Manor. Ultimately, I will go with Doc Alice, due to the fact that her utility is all around much better in the DLC, while also having a lot of use in the main game as well, with the bone saw cheesing like a 1/4 of the fights. It will, of course, take a while to level her up, but really, what else is new? Anywho, take the spooky horse, ride into Dirtwater, grab the room, buy some flowers, and learn a new bean skill. When all of that is said and done, hop in the coach and enter. Going in, and closing our game, changing some numbers in the save file, and reopening so we have the proper house difficulty, we meet up with Florence and enter the foyer. The intercom seems to be a bit broken, but with a 67 mysticality stat check, we can definitely not get that fixed right now. Okay, let's try fighting this. Yeah, no. Let's take a look around and see what we can find. Our first sight is a worker being antagonized by hedge monsters, but I don't think we can do anything about that given the fact that we can't even beat a single spider. In the hedge maze, we can go north, east, west, and then south to get +1 to our M stats. We can also grab the key to the carriage house and, with some flowers in hand, pull out a jumbo shrimp fork and look at those stats! That's house difficulty 8 for you. Anyways, we take a peek down the coal chute and see a lot of scary enemies that I don't really want to take on. So let's back out and take a peek at the carriage house. We see a guy we can't convince, a can of herbicide, a book to gain another bean skill, and a set of hedge clippers. Going back to the worker in the maze, we can hose down the hedge monsters, getting the token smasher back to work. Following her, we get a token, go to the well, wish for the token back, and go down to retrieve it, along with rescuing the greeter. That isn't really required, but it's nice. Returning to the visitor center, we can smash a token into a shotgun and... Okay, that's the best melee offhand item in the game, I think. We buy another and get the Mysticality variant this time, with the Moxie left for a later date. With this gear, though, we take on the spider in the foyer and lose again. Looks like we have a lot of work to do. I'm going to spare you the trouble of this. If you're curious what we do in the first third of the game, see the other challenge run. Do quests for meat, grind, and beat the rock monster. Additionally, you'll want to get Silver Tongue from the Silver Plater, the Friend of Horses from feeding your stallion of choice with food from Wandering Sally, Anatomical Learning from the circus, and if you can get it done by this point, Cowruption from consuming cow product. Finally, before going into the second third of the game, have Doc Ellis to a high enough rank to use Bonesaw and have at least 9 speed, likely done through equipping the Shimmering Pocket Square. As we go through the second stretch of the game, deal with the Breadwood quests and, well, just about everything that we do in the base game run as well. This includes the perks in Ancient Ring from the West Pole, the Schmaltz Blue Ribbon from the brewery, the mushrooms from the Mushroom Cave, the Kurtzfit Pants and miniature guns from Fort Memoriam, and, of course, Buffalo Bill. From Wandering Encounters, we'll want to pick up the Kitchen Pants from a Goblin in the Breadwood area, the Buffalo Skin Pants in the Railroad area, and both the Red Hot Pistol and Smoking Gun from the South. Their uses will come up in a bit, but as one-time encounters, it is crucial to grab them now. Once you did all that prep, build the bridge to Frisco, ignore the crazy old guy, enter the bar, get the whiskey without the rocks, inspect the spittoon, get the spit-free perk, immediately beeline to Roy Beans to get the spittoon hand and befouled pistol, somehow stacking the perks together? With that, I think I can take on the Capital Ghost in the coal basement area. We enter in, deal very minimal damage, and then get flopped. Wait. Spooky damage. Quickly run over to Reboot Hill, get the spooky cameo, and then travel to Danny's Tannery whenever you have the location unlocked. Check on some of the best melee gear you have and start beating the ever-living heck out of these demons with a plated pair of hedge clippers. The cows are simple enough to handle, and all of the clowns attack the frontmost targets, so just set up bean walls and you'll be fine. Once done with all the foes, send Grady the Tanner to Dirtwater and then head over to the Fort of Darkness. From there, you'll send Tony and his army of invisible elves to Dirtwater as well, and then do the same to Murray after giving him the El Vibrato headband. After that, go to Wasco's Comedy Shack. While in this far north region, go ahead and grab the cooking pistol, and when you find the Curious Falls Mountain, go there and grab the chrono key along with a pair of El Vibrato pants by sending Scraff through the right side of the time squeezer. Then go over to Alexandria Ranch, rescue Alexandria, and then send her over to Dirtwater as well. From there, buy the disturbing portrait from Murray due to the library being next door, go to sleep, and wake up a mildly disturbed person. Now it's time to go back to Gun Manor. With a combination of the Gothic cameo, Caged Canary from Wandering, Kitchen Pants, Uncanny Presence perk from being a beanslinger, and the newly acquired Picture of You effect, we can once more take on the Capital Ghost. With this build, we are completely immune to the foe. This spectral beast of an enemy does have Insubstantial 3 though, so it will take a long time, dealing only 3 damage per hit. With enough turns though, we can take down the ghost, push the coal minecart, and turn on the heater for the manor, allowing us to access the place in full. Oh yeah, we need to beat the spider in the foyer. Before we get started with the 13 ghosts of Gun Manor, grab the blowtorch from the dining room and free the elevator attendant from the freezer. After that, we take on our first spooky foe, the Poacher. With a 100% spooky resistance build, this fight is free as he cannot defeat us and the eggs only serve as a support unit. Wait, it's not spooky. Hold on, let me just get a basic muscle build real quick to make sure I have at least 11 speed to start the battle in most of these fights. Alright, just set up bean walls and you'll be fine. Next is the larder with Laudest, where this fight can be entirely cheesed by setting up a bean wall and poisoning him because his priority is frontmost targets. After that comes the Pants Ghost and accompanying Pantsgeist in the pantry. Unfortunately, the Pantsgeist target randomly, so we will need to come back to this fight later. On the second floor, the librarian is bugged, so her stats aren't scaled properly, leading to an easy win. After that is the gallery, where you will have a duel with the lawyer in a one-on-one fight. With adequate speed, though, we can just build a wall of beans in her face and rack up poison into a victory. After that comes the guest rooms. If you put the word key into the dictionary inside the library, you can get the key to room 2, allowing you to access room 3, and by proxy, room 4. Inside of the guest rooms, there will be a box of doohickeys for Florence to get more abilities, and the elevator button for floor 3. There's also the clerk, which brings all 5 elements into one fight. She appears to be bugged due to having very, very little mysticality despite being an enemy that attacks with the stat. They also appear to be very fixated on BBB Bill for this, so we actually no-hit the entire fight. Saving the comedian for later, we go up to floor 3 and into Mr. Gun's manliness room. The Hunter Ghost is a complete joke. Stun and breakdown. The Billiards Ghost, on the other hand, is a lot tougher. Like with the clerk, there is a pool ball for each element, along with the ghost himself, which is invincible until all pool balls are eliminated. The first attempt doesn't go too well, but upon looking back, it's very apparent that all of the foes have frontmost targeting, so just spam a bunch of bean walls hoping they appear in the front column, and you'll end up winning. Before leaving, grab the pool ball off the table. It will be different depending on the class you picked, and for us as beanslingers, it will be the 5-ball, which inflicts 25 of the fire status with every single basic hit. Going into the toddler's room, we once again put on our 100% spooky resistance build and get into the fight with the hostess ghost. She will only deal 1 spooky attack for 3 times our HP, so having the build is absolutely necessary for our survival. After that, we just mercilessly beat her out of this realm of life. After that comes the dining room ghost. He will have 5 cards available for attacks, with each kind having a different method of harming and buffing himself. Our priority is to get rid of the dish carts and the boost carts, as those will deal non-spooky damage to us and make it harder to damage an enemy with 1,700 HP. The food carts hold no threat though, as the punches are spooky and with our build from the previous fight makes us completely immune to damage. All that is left is to rack up poison, get whiffed on a bunch, and free the food vendor from the curse of eternal servitude. With the food vendor free, stock up on a bunch of food, equip the 5-ball, and trek back to guest room number 4 to battle the comedian. The fight is honestly pretty straightforward enough. Have Lawrence blast the ghost for 13 damage, you Dark Howdy, repeat to your turn, smack with hedge clippers, and you should win. From there, we only have 3 major antagonists left to deal with. Conductor Ghost, Jet Bullet, and the Hedge Wizard. For the struggle that the Conductor will be later, let's take on the Hedge Wizard first. In his first fight, he summons 1 hedge monster, which is simple enough to take down. In the second fight, he summons 2 hedge monsters, which... oh geez. I think we need to do a little bit more preparation. Well, to begin with, we don't exactly have a maximum level Doc Alice, so let's change that. Spending an unearthly amount of time grinding at the Daveyard, Fuller to All Dead, and Buffalo Pile, we finally get her to rank 8 for that extra 2 damage per shotgun blast. Yippee. Surely that'll be enough to get past the second fight, and... no, it isn't. Okay. Off to West Pole we go with the Chrono Key to get the Smiling Face button. That is plus 15 to all of our M stats. Next, we go to Butterfield Ranch and grind the ungulates until one drops a Cow's Eye, allowing us to go to the jeweler and make the Cow's Eye ring, which is an amazing ring to have if you're doing a muscle build. If you haven't already, grab the Quick and the Drunk book from Alexandria's bookstore when the brewery is to the right of it. While the 15 additional pistol damage is not really impactful, the additional liver slot can help out a lot in the versatility of any build that you do. With a lot of stuff arranged, we put on the Smiling Face button, the Red Hot pistol, the Hedge Clippers, the 5-ball, the Cow's Eye ring, the Kurtzfit pants, the Enchanted boots, down a deep-fried holster and a steel-flavored candy stick, get the Boon of the Bobcat, drink some whiskey, and see if we can beat the second Hedge Wizard fight. It turns out that, well, no, we still lose. But we can try again with an Anger, which is an additional 3 to our M stats. And this time we win! With 1 fight left, we hop in and get completely decimated, losing our consumable buffs, and get sent packing back to our room. Trying again with the boon from the Ape Skeleton, and we lose again. Maybe the Bobcat Skeleton can have another go? Nope. Well, this isn't working. What's going on here? Well, let's take a look at the potential enemies that the Hedge Wizard can spawn. Cue helpful visual. Da, 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 da. The Hedge Goblin is first, and is the absolute worst case scenario of a hedge monster appearing. They directly target the player, so if they aren't down by the time the enemies have a turn to attack, just assume that you lose due to the insane Moxie stat that the Hedge Goblin has. The Hedge Knight is much easier to manage due to their targeting being frontmost, meaning that we can stall them out with bean walls. The same can also be said with the Shrubbery Bats, but honestly, I am unsure if they even appear during the Hedge Wizard fight itself. Speaking of bats, the Shrieking Hedge Bat targets the rearmost allies first. This means that they will either attack BVB Bill or Doc Alice. Not the best option, but it could work out better than the Hedge Goblin at least. The Vampire Hedgebat is game over if they get to attack, as they steal HP from the target they hit, very likely healing to full health and undoing all the progress that you have made on them. It needs to be taken out immediately if it appears, otherwise you might as well raise the white flag. The Hulking Hedge Golem apparently has random targeting, but I have absolutely no trust in that possibility since luck could not be on our side. If we are hit and somehow live, we lose AP, which is always bad, but that's wishful thinking to think we'd ever even survive a hit from the thing. Finally is the Arcane Hedge Sphere. This thing barrages with a 5-hit attack. The wiki claims that the targeting of this enemy is frontmost, but my footage begs to differ. My guess is that it is random whether it hits you or the wall in front of you, but that isn't the only buggy thing about this enemy. By looking at the attack order of the previous turn, we can learn that the Arcane Hedge Sphere attacks the wall, it clones it like the rock monster does, without destroying it. What? So, we are left with a mess of targeting, a bunch of enemies that spell doom no matter what if we get them together, and bugged enemy attacks to boot. I think at this point, the only possible chance of us winning this fight lies with luck for good enemy placements. We do get close sometimes, but are immediately shot down due to one thing or another. After nearly half an hour of attempts, we get this one where one fact becomes apparent. Despite the Shrieking Hedgebat targeting the rearmost, the fact is that its attack is a basic range attack, meaning that it can be blocked by things in front of the target. This one fact means that we can actually win. That we can finally get Hedge Wizard Orb, go east, north, west, south, west, north, to get a permanent +3 to our M stats. Finally put the Hedge Maze behind us, and get to the last of the ghosts. Well, there's really only one fight left for us to do before the finale. Let's just get into this. In the Conductor Fight, we will face off against 3 flutes, a tuba, and a trombone. The flutes will target the player and deal mysticality damage, the tuba will take away some of your action points, and the trombone will reduce your party stats by 25%. A unique quirk of this fight is that the attack order seems to be random due to the conductor queuing the instruments to attack rather than going from top left to bottom right, like normal. This is annoying, but I guess it can be dealt with somewhat. That being said, we lose with our muscle build. Alright, we need some stuff. Again. By going to the library dictionary and entering the words course, hawker, 11, toupee, wetter, and market, we can get the 6 clues that are required for us so that we can enter Carver and get one of the best mysticality weapons in the game. Go plate it and sharpening strop it if you really want to, but it won't do much to help in the fight. While you're out there, find the silvery crystal from the abandoned mine and make the silicone ring at the jeweler. Now it is time to put together our ultimate spell damage build for a second time. For our gear, we will have the plated hard hat with sick python snakeskin for an additional 30 HP, the smiling face button, the cooking pistol, the carver, the gun manor rifle token, silicon ring, the El Vibrato pants, and the enchanted boots with bootstraps and polish if for some reason you haven't gotten them. For temporary buffs, we will have the Lactarius Dirtihipica mushroom, the whiskey without the rocks, the Schmaltz blue ribbon, the fire-flavored candy stick, the blood from the Necromancer's Tower, and the boon of the Jackrabbit. As for the fight, have Florence buff Mysticality and you Dark Howdy on the first turn. Buff Mysticality again with Florence on the second turn, and when it comes to your move, buff Armor and Mysticality, and with one of the strongest Lava Favos you can muster at level 1, send it towards that trombone. After that, hope the attack order has most, if not all, of the flutes attack before the trombone. After that, buff Mysticality again, Lava Fava again, and have Doc heal you back to full if you're damaged. Next turn, start working on the flutes and healing all the while. Once you have enough Mysticality buffs to have the flutes with, you will have effectively won the fight, as there is nothing any of the enemies can do to you now. Slowly whittle your way down to a win, check in with Mrs. Gunn, and realize, oh shoot, wait, we forgot the pantry ghost. Alright, Dark Howdy, Bean Wall, Lava Fava the pants, chip down the ghost. Okay, yeah, we're good. Back up to the 3rd floor, we mercilessly end the unlife of Mrs. Gunn, grab the attic opening stick, go into the attic, see Chit, Bullet, grab the final box of science junk so Florence can get an overpowered ability and get into the final fight of the DLC. The gimmick with this fight is that we cannot damage Chet directly, but that means literally nothing because we can reduce his stats by 75% on the first turn with Florence's new ability, making it so he can't even touch us in combat. At this point, just buff Mysticality as much as you want and shower a great northern blizzard on all of those boxes of bullets for a complete and dominant win. With that, we pitched Chet out of the window and proved that yes, it is possible to beat the hardest house difficulty at level 1 in hard mode for West of Loathing, Gun Manor. I suppose it's time for the credits now. Let's start with a very warm thank you to MJ Bear for the really awesome thumbnail. I could have done something myself that would have been a bit lackluster in comparison, but I wanted to include some talent from the Loathing community. Again, thank you for the awesome work here. Next, let's give a woohoo to the fandom wiki for information on enemy attack priorities, stats, and other bits and pieces. I thank the people that contributed this information, but sincerely hope fandom burns in a fire of its own making. Going to give a personal shout out to a spreadsheet I made back a few years ago that compiles the information for just about every stat modifying thing in the game. Link will be in the description if you want to access the document. I want to also give a small thanks to everyone who voted in the poll to decide what game I was going to do a challenge run of. Your voice was made known, and I was happy to oblige for this. If you want to see the original run I did on stream or the offline run I recorded in either of their entireties, there will be a playlist in the description that holds all of the related videos, so check it out if you want to for some reason. Now let's get on with the obligatories. If you like the video, then like the video. If you want to share your thoughts, drop a comment. If you want to see more videos when they upload, then subscribe. Finally, if you want to be notified about when I upload, the bell is there for you to ring. I have been Generic Mystic, and I thank you fellow entities of the interwebs for joining me once more in West of Loathing.